So it would be remiss of me not to do a quick video about yesterday's East Midlands Mayor election result, also the Police and Crime Commissioner result. And I'm not so much seeing red because in this area both of those positions fell to Labour. So we now have a Labour Police and Crime Commissioner, and we also have a Labour East Midlands Mayor. But the real scandal of these elections is in the way that the system works. So I've got the results here. Now the interesting thing is the turnout for the East Midlands Mayor was only 27.6%, and the turnout for the Police and Crime Commissioner was 26.9%. So what that means is 72.4% didn't bother to vote. 73% didn't actually bother to vote. So we have here are the results. We had Labour got 181,000 votes, Conservative 129,000, Green got nearly 51,000, Alan Graves did well, he got 49,000. The Independent, Matt Ralph, got 23,000, Lib Dems got nearly 16,000, spoiled ballot papers were nearly 3,000, and that was me, I spoiled my ballot paper. So when you work out these results and you factor in the turnout, now bear in mind this is based on the electorate and not actually the population, because of course not everyone is on the electoral roll, not everyone elects to be on the electoral roll. So the actual true population is way bigger than these statistics, but let's just work it out based on the electorate, which is people registered to vote. What that means is Labour won that election and have now put in an East Midlands Mayor on just 11.04% of the electorate. And essentially that means that 88.96% of the people did not want her. And the numbers are similar for the Police and Crime Commissioner. Labour got 93,000 votes, Conservative 65,000, Reform 33,000 nearly, Lib Dems 22,000, spoiled ballot papers again 2,814, similar number to the Mayor. And you work that out and it means that Labour got in on just 11.57% of the electorate, which means 88.43% of the electorate did not vote for this Labour Police and Crime Commissioner. So I'm just going to cross the road and I'm going to pick it up on the other side. So there is another interesting dynamic in these votes which it feels important to point out, and this is related to the East Midlands Mayor election booklet, and there was a lot of controversy over this. Firstly, because not everyone got the booklet. There was a bit of a administrative F-up, and a lot of people didn't actually get the booklet telling the details of the candidates until the afternoon of the election after they had actually voted. So there was a lot of complaint about that because, of course, the candidates, not only did they have to pay a £5,000 deposit to stand for election, but they also had to put in £5,000 in the kitty if they wanted to be in this booklet. Now, everyone paid to be in that booklet except for Lib Dem. So if you look at the results there, and I'll put them back up on screen, Lib Dem only got 16,000 votes in the mayor election, and yet for the Police and Crime Commissioner, where there was no booklet and everyone was on a level playing field, they actually got 22,500 votes. So the vote in the East Midlands Mayor election of the electorate was 3.53%, and for the Police and Crime Commissioner it was actually 10.39%, and that goes to show, it proves that that election booklet was really material to votes. So this was one of the issues I took up with the returning officer before the election. I wrote and I said, this is not a free and fair election. And these results absolutely proved that. It wasn't a free and fair election because they didn't give all of the candidates an equal opportunity to get their information out to the voters. And so it basically meant that if you had more money, you got more votes. And that is not a free and fair election. So there's a lot of interesting aspects to this election. Another really key thing to bear in mind with the Police and Crime Commissioner. Now, I don't know the history of that role, but I do know that the Police and Crime Commissioner is supposed to be a representative of the people. Now, if you look at the constitution of the police and the police oath and their kind of rules of conduct, you will know that the police are supposed to be a non-political body that acts under oath to the monarch on behalf of the people to protect the people and their property. So you have to ask yourself, why oh why are party political representatives allowed to stand for the role of Police and Crime Commissioner? Because it cuts completely against the constitution of the police. And that was the reason for my ballot paper. I wrote across it, I do not consent. None of the above candidates. The police is supposed to be a non-political organisation. So there are lots of reasons. So I'm getting into Bakewell now. It's Saturday morning. There's lots happening. There's music, there's people, there's cars. There's lots to negotiate. So I'm being a little bit, it's not quite as calm as my Crestbrook Dale video walks. But anyway, let's just take a breath, get to a little bit more of a less busy spot. So the final thing that I want to say about this, because what we are seeing here, even though they only got a tiny percentage of the electorate, nonetheless Labour got into power in both seats. And unfortunately, unless there is a massive shift and an awakening and a pattern interrupting, what that means is it looks likely that unless the lost electorate who don't bother to vote turn out in force and choose parties that are outside the mainstream, because this is the thing, both the Con Party and the Labour Party are two cheeks of the same arse, as George Galloway describes them. They're both aligned to the World Economic Forum, and so thinking that you're going to get a different outcome if you switch from Con to Labour, it's like jumping out of the frying pan and into the fire. So it's really important that the people realise that. And I have to say, one of the dangers, I really woke up with this strongly this morning, one of the very big dangers we have in terms of Labour coming into power, not only are they aligned to the World Economic Forum, but their leader, Keir Starmer, he was a former head of the Crown Prosecution Service. He's a lawyer. And already we have statements from the Police and Crime Commissioner, the Labour Police and Crime Commissioner, who in her acceptance speech and in her election material said that she is going to keep the people safe. Now you notice that this phrase is being used over and over again, and it creates the illusion that the government and the authorities are there to protect the people and to keep the people safe. But the truth is anything but that, because the biggest enemies of the people, if you look at the levels of illness and deaths, okay, into dogs and parks land now. If you look at the statistics and the pain and the suffering that has been caused, it isn't by sort of random men with machetes wandering the streets of London attacking people randomly. It's a systematic genocide of the people, not just in this country through experimental, which have caused untold health issues and excess deaths, which is what Andrew Bridgen has been trying to get debated in the House of Commons without really any traction. No one turns up, no one does anything. It's like put your fingers in your ears and go la 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 la. I don't want to listen, because of course all of the MPs and politicians were all issued with cease and desist orders under the new code back in 2021, early 2022, when this rollout started happening, because people could see, those of us in the freedom movement could see immediately the statistics which were surrounding the rollout of the you-know-what. So don't kid yourselves that the government is there to keep you safe. The government is there to install an agenda. It's a World Economic Forum agenda. It's an agenda which will affect every one of us. It's an agenda of command control. And the chances are that by having a Labour Party in power, headed by Keir Starmer, I'm not even going to grace his name with a sir, who is essentially a lawyer, who is former head of the Crown Prosecution Service, who is the body responsible for prosecuting the people and bringing criminal cases. We have a recipe for really challenging times ahead, because guess what? We've already seen it on the front pages of the newspapers this week about, we've got to clamp down on protesters, and we've seen it in America where, the students are rising up, protesting about the genocide in Palestine and being carted off by military police. And these are violations of our lawful rights. And this is a big fly in the ointment for the World Economic Forum as it tries to bulldoze through its command control regime, digital totalitarianism. What are they going to do about the uprising of the people? Just look at what happened in Canada with the truckers over the whole lockdown and jab mandates. What was the reaction to that? Boom. Suddenly, hey, don't look over there in Canada. Don't look at the uprising of the people, where literally thousands of truckers drove to, I think, Ottawa. Ottawa is the capital of the political capital of Canada. They created absolute gridlock. The minute that happened in a big way, the cameras all shifted. Oh no, don't look over there. Look over here. Look to Ukraine. And they completely diverted attention from the uprising of the people. And breathe. It's a very busy day in Bakewell. It's Saturday morning. There's lots of people out, lots of dogs out, people playing bowls over there, completely blissfully unaware of the incoming regime. And this is the thing, so many people in the mainstream who are watching the news, reading the mainstream newspapers, which are all completely owned by World Economic Forum, big corporations, pumping out propaganda, completely blissfully unaware that we are sleepwalking into a digital totalitarian nightmare future if we do not wake up. So I am calling on all of you, all of the lost electorate who have lost interest in politics, who don't want to get involved. They say there's no point, don't bother. Just imagine if that over 70% of the people, 72%, 73%, who didn't bother to vote, imagine if all those people came out in force and voted for a candidate who was standing to collapse the system and to make it much more truly represent the wishes and the needs of the people. Imagine if that happened. That would completely sweep away this red and blue Punch and Judy show overnight. It's worth a punt, and I'm prepared to hold that vision and to stand for that dramatic transformation in this political system. And it was summed up by a great meme which I saw the other day. Politics isn't broken, it's fixed. Sending you lots of love. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.